Now, lowly adventurer, you must roll at least a 12, or you shall be consumed by the Hound of Nereth Non-Dal.
Hello and welcome to Performance Check. My name is Rob and I'm back where it all began. This is the very room where the very first episode of Performance Check was filmed. Back at home base, I'm actually living out of a suitcase at the moment. Nearly knocked something over. That could have been embarrassing. So today on Performance Check, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the environment and how it can be utilized as a really effective tool in your role-playing game. Now, as a DM, GM, whatever you want to call it, I really enjoy running fast-paced, intense, desperate combats and encounters. One of the main tools that I use to do that is the environment, the surroundings, the world that the players inhabit. Now, I find it really interesting. I've seen a lot of games and I've played in a lot of games. One thing that I notice quite a lot is that everyone absolutely loves it when the players' actions affect the world around them. And that shows the sign of a really good game. It shows that, you know, the choices and the actions of the people contributing matter. However, what I don't see as much is the opposite. The world surrounding the players affecting them, affecting their choices, affecting the circumstances they find themselves in, and the tactics and actions they'll have to perform because of it. Now, there are so many ways that the environment can be used to augment your game. If you go back into the back catalogue of Performance Check videos, you'll find one called Tone. In that, I described a situation in two ways. The first, I described the players approaching a village, and it was a really bright sunny day. They were walking down a lush green slope, approaching an ideal setting, and I described that situation in exactly the same in the same location, but with rain, them trudging through mud, them being uncertain as to whether they're going to find shelter in this ramshackle place that they're approaching. Now, that is one way that you can use the environment to your advantage. You can utilize tone through the environment. You can make people feel sort of weighed down, trudging through this section of the game. They feel demoralized. They feel like all hope is lost, perhaps, just because of the way that you're describing the surroundings about them. You can say that as they're approaching the castle of the evil wizard that controls this realm with the might of his magic, that as they approach, lightning streaks through the sky, rain pours down upon them, and thunder rolls at each step towards the final encounter. Now, all of those are examples as to how you can affect the tone of the game, what players are feeling as they are making decisions and role-playing their way through the scenarios that you present to them. However, the environment can be used equally as effectively in augmenting the challenges and the stakes that you place upon a particular encounter, a combat, or even a campaign. The scope is so broad, I cannot cover it in a 10-minute-ish video. So what I'm going to attempt to do, I'm going to try and describe to you a scenario that you can set before your players that involves all of the aspects, or the key aspects, that I feel the environment can give to improve an encounter, shall we say. I would like you to imagine a group of heroes. We've got the standard party. We have your fighter, we have your wizard, we have your rogue, we have your cleric. Okay, and they have been traveling for days on end through a snowy Arctic tundra. Okay, they've been traveling for days. The supplies are running low. Morale is at an all-time low. And this is something that you could have established by saying that blizzards have been pouring down upon them. They feel melted snow in their boots. They can't feel their fingertips. And then you present to them that the only way that they're going to be able to continue on this journey is if they cross a particularly dangerous area. They see before them a vast plain of ice. This is one of the largest lakes in this kingdom, and it has frozen over. The fighter takes a tentative step onto the ice and instantly hears a... Now, by doing this, by using the environment, we now have introduced an element of tension. Walking on thin ice, literally. As a DM, you are able to inform them that only by crossing this icy plain are the players going to be able to continue onwards to complete their goal. If they turn back, they may not have the supplies to last a return journey. They may not be able to return here until the snow has thawed and they are able to get across the lake in another way, perhaps. So we move on to the next element that the environment can present in your game. A skill encounter. The players find themselves being asked by the DM to make skill checks in which they can work as a team to ensure that they can cross this icy lake without plunging into the depths, being trapped down there and drowning or freezing to death. This is where your descriptions as a DM will come into focus. This is where you can excel. You can tell the players that every step on this ice is a leap of faith. You can tell the fighter and the cleric that the armor that so often protects them could be that heavy thing that drags them beneath the surface to a watery grave. By doing this, you're racking up the tension and you are instilling in the players that this is a very precarious situation, okay? You are setting up the stakes. One false move and everything could be lost. Everything. Now you can lure your players into a false sense of security as well. They will now be thinking, okay, so we're doing this skill encounter. We just need to ensure that as long as we maintain our good rolls, our good fortune, and quick thinking, we could very well get out of this absolutely fine. But with those stakes set, now it's the time to introduce an escalation, an even greater threat. Bursting from beneath the ice are clawing, grasping humanoid hands. The wizard, with a history check, is able to determine that these must be the poor individuals who travelled north many years ago and were never ever found. They had fallen into the watery grave themselves, have now become some vile, evil undead that now wishes to drag travellers into the watery depths, just as they once were. Making this into a combat counter does two really effective things. One, it obviously makes sure that there is a fight. Players love getting themselves into a fight. However, number two is that this is an enemy that has an advantage over the players. They are bursting forth from the very thing that is so dangerous to the player characters. This advantage adds an overwhelming amount of tension because the odds are so stacked against them. And not only is the environment presenting a tense situation to your players, it's also going to force them to think and act differently. A lot of the time you'll find that players fall back into a groove. They find a way that they like to handle standard combats. But when the fighter isn't able to simply just charge over to an enemy and hit them for fear that the ground is going to collapse beneath him, he's going to have to fight in a different way. He's going to have to think. He's going to have to be innovative. This is something you want to encourage in your game because it will make it far more interesting for your players and it will make your world richer, more dangerous, more diverse. And how do we neatly round this encounter off to a fully cohesive, emotional, dramatic, tension-filled experience? Well, we go back to what I was talking about at the very beginning, as the players are locked in combat with these vicious undead trying to claw them into the water. You look into the player's eyes and you say, it is only then that dark clouds form in the sky and a blizzard begins to pour down around you. You begin to feel claustrophobic as snow surrounds you, closing in on you like the very danger beneath the ice. So what does that give us as a whole? You have players desperately defending themselves as they can hear with every step the ice cracking beneath their feet, as more and more of these ghastly undead draw themselves out onto the ice and try and pull them into watery graves. Every second could be their last. All of these ingredients put together make a really great, well-rounded, well thought out encounter that takes all elements of the environment and utilizes it into one really slick encounter. You've got the tone set by the weather, you've got the danger set on the terrain, and you have the enemy that can work around this environment and use it to their advantage. All of these elements combined will give you an unforgettable encounter that your players will talk about from here until the endo days. That was weird. The endo days. The endo days. That is how you utilize environment in your encounters. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, if you'd like to give it a like, if you'd like to see more like it, then give me a subscribe or not. We're all friends here. Or are we? Thanks for watching, and I hope that all of your performances are up to standard.